Hello traders, welcome to a new video. This is Gabriel from PriceActionVolumeTrader.com. So today on our second video in our Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Chart Patterns, I'm going to talk about pin bars and hammers. So these are a single candlestick pattern formation. They're very easy to spot. And like I said, I pretty much only pay attention to two main candlestick formations, the engulfing bars, which I talked about in my previous video, and pin bars and hammers, which to me are a great signal for a reversal in trends. Okay, so before we dive in, just make sure to subscribe, hit the thumbs up, leave any questions or comments below. That'll greatly help the channel grow and I appreciate it. So without further ado, let's just dive in. First, let's go over what the technical definition is of this formations. So this is one of the most important reversal single candlestick patterns, which in the right context can signal a change in trend and momentum. The color of the candle is not as significant as its shape. So what do I mean by that? It means that the candle can be a bullish or bearish candle, either red or green or white or black, whatever colors you use. But the most important thing for this pattern or this formation is that it's going to have a small body. So that means the open and the close of the candles is going to be very close together, but they're going to have a very short wick or no wick at all on one side and then a very long wick on the other side. Technically, by definition, you want to see a wick that is at least twice as long as the size of the candle body itself. And while these formations can occur anywhere, they are most commonly seen at swing point extremes. So when we see, for example, a pin bar or a hammer, and again, I want to say this, I use the terms interchangeably. Some people just call this hammers, and then this is pin bars. And then when they're upside down, like when we see them at the top of swings, they would call this an inverted hammer, because as you can see, obviously this is like the hammer and this is the handle. Or some people call this a shooting star formation because it looks like a shooting star. For simplicity, I just call them pin bars or hammers, either whenever they're at bottoms or tops. And as you can see, it's very easy to spot them because obviously the wick is so much bigger than the body. So when we find them at swing highs, it gives us a strong bearish reversal signal. Since the long top wick shows that sellers came in full force and pushed price back down close to the open price. So there is a shift in upward momentum to the downside. Similarly, if we find the pattern at a bottom swing like we have it right here, that is a strong bullish reversal sign where buyers stepped in and made price retrace very close to the opening price. So the downward momentum has now been switched and a new trend can be forming to the upside. So as we can see in this case, we were in a downtrend, price made a retracement, came back down, and now this previous swing low, we broke through it, closed back above. So we liquidated all the the sell stops that the people that were long had under this swing, and we left this big wick formation here. So what does this tell us? This tells us, look at the momentum that this had coming down. This was coming with a lot of force. Sellers, at one point, this was an entire red bar. So this looked like this was just going to collapse and continue. And then right before whatever this time frame was, buyers stepped in and bought it all the way up here. leaving this big wick. So that tells us there was a big change in momentum of selling, and now the bulls stepped in, and now this can signal a big reversal when it comes to the momentum of buying and selling. So as always, context and locations are key, as well as the overall market trend. This pattern can be seen on any time frame, but it's especially useful when we see it in major time frames such as the 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, weekly, etc. Okay, and now let's go into a chart, and we're just going to go over some examples here on different charts on as usual, I'm here on TradingView. This is the euro dollar 1 hour chart, and we're just going to browse through and look at where we see clear hammers or pin bar formations, and then what those signaled for the as signals that we could have taken as far as trade signals go. So let's see. I don't see. Oh, right here. This is the first couple of clear examples that we have here. Look at these two cases right here, and I'll highlight them here. We have one here, and we have another one here. So we had price, we were trending up, we came down, now we are supposedly we're expecting now to continue higher, but now we get this big pin bar formation. We closed above, we liquidated the highs of this previous candles and closed back below. Now we still have this highs here, so that could be a risk that we're gonna run up to this highs. But look at this candle, look at how small the body is and the level of rejection on this trade. If you were to go into a trade here, you could wait until the candle close right here, go short right over there, and then your stop loss would be right beyond the extreme of the wick. As you can see, we fell, came back, but then continued falling here. The same over here. And this is an even better example because in this case, we had a big swing down, a retracement, another small wave down here, then another retracement up, and in this case, what do we see? We broke through this previous swing highs and closed back below. This is a very, very good sign of reversal, either to the upside or downside, where we have a major previous swing, and then we have, in this case, a pin bar or inverted hammer that wicks above it, so it activates all the buy stops that people that went short had around this swing high, and we close back below. In this case, if we were going to go in on a short position here, for example, we could go in right at the close of this candle with a stop right above the extreme of the wick. And then as far as your targets, I mean, for this, I have various different methods that I use for calculating take profits. The first obvious one would be at the previous swing low right here, but you can just see how far the trade goes, and you can just go trailing your stop until you have some sort of sign of reversal, etc. But the main idea is that the pin bars give you a pretty defined place of where to place your risk, which will be right at the extreme of the pin bar. and you could just go in right where the pin bar closes. Again, this is the 1 hour chart. So like we said, context is key in these things. Let's go into another market. Let's go see Bitcoin. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart. Let's go into a 4 hour time frame just to change things up. And let's see examples of where we have very clear pin bars. Again, what we said, a pin bar, we want to see a very small body and a wick that is at least twice the size of the body. As we can see, this would probably be a valid example here. We see we had a big down move here. We have a pullback back up, and then we have this candle right here where we had a strong momentum going up here. We wick back here, and you can see we have a pin bar right here, but this is what I was telling you, that context is very important, because in this case we had this pin bar here, but it was in the middle. It wasn't at an extreme. We got it in the middle of this sort of retracement back. We had a very strong move down, so our instincts right now, our science is to look for short signals. So in this case, this formation, while this was a big bullish reversal, we then had this candle immediately after where we had an inverted hammer. We broke above this previous swing high here and closed back below. So in this case, you could have entered a short here with a stop right beyond this wick, and in this case you could have targeted previous swing lows that we had. So you see in this case this would have been a good signal to go short off of this. Let's go over more examples. And like I said, when you get them, for example here, this is a nice one here, we get a very big pin bar, and like I said, context is very key, because this pin bar that we see on this 4 hour chart, if we're looking at an hourly chart, this is probably going to look completely different. Let me just mark this. Let's mark this and just go into a 1 hour chart and see how this would have looked. So this is 21st of January. So this is important also. You want to focus on various time frames because things are going to look different. So see that 4 hour pin bar, this is how it looks like on the 1 hour chart. So we got this is a pretty decent candle even on the 1 hour chart, but it doesn't really fit exactly the definition of a hammer or pin bar, because as we see, the wick was not twice the size of the body. However, this is a pretty good bullish candle for a reversal. But let's go back again to the example on the 4 hour. And as we can see, we had a very, very small body and a huge wick right here. So if you would have entered here on a long, for example, on the close of this candle, and you would have put your stop right here, well, we can see price would have come back down. You could have held this as a swing, and actually your low would have held. And then as far as targets, I mean, you could have targeted previous swing highs, like this previous swing high before we fell, which we can see we hit it right here, for example. So like I said, pin bars gives us a very good sign that markets are reversing. Let's look at another chart. let's look at the S&P 500 here, and let's go into a, we can go into a, see a daily, or let's maybe go lower. Let's go into a 5-minute chart so we can show how this works also on very small time frames. Here we have, for example, a pretty clear sign here. We had a very strong uptrend here, and then we have big pin bar here. Even though it was a green bullish bar, we can see the level of rejection that this had, and then we had a good reversal back down. If we continue here, we have another very good 5 minutes is a very popular intraday short-term trading time frame. We have this candle right here. We had a big move down, move up. Now we're having small retracements. We have another push down, and then this is what I said that we like to see. When the candle, a pin bar, closes below a previous significant swing and then closes right above. And even here we can see we actually have several more pin bars. So just like we talked about with the engulfing bars, once we start a strong uptrend in one direction, then we can see several pin bars forming in the direction of our trend. But in this case, we're talking specifically, for example, of this one. This was a good sign here that we wicked below, we had a pin bar, and that means buyers stepped in, bulls stepped in, and now we have a good reversal here, even here to the downside. This was a good example here. This retracement, we pushed back, we just failed to break this highs, and we had an inverted hammer pin bar coming down into this one, etc. Okay, so again, I'll just pretty much leave it over here. As you can see, these are candle formations that are very common. We see them all over the place. Like I said, context is key. You want to see pin bars forming at major time frames, very popular time frames that a lot of traders are looking at, especially significant when they wick or break above or below a previous important swing and then closes back inside, telling us that the momentum has shifted in the opposing direction. And then it gives us a clear place of where we put our invalidations if we would go long or short off of those signals. Okay, so with that, I'll leave you. Thank you for watching. Again, if you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up, subscribe so you don't miss any new content and new videos on this classic pattern series or any of my other Bitcoin or education material. Check out my social medias. Follow me there for daily or bi-daily updates on all my charts and news. And don't forget to check out my website for more information on my trading courses and the special sale that I have going on now on my trading with candlestick and chart patterns course also, which you can find pinned on the comment below. Okay, I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks.